Good afternoon. My name is Sally Berkery and I'm Managing Director of CW UK. Back in February, many of you joined us for what was a brilliant session on driving your e-commerce businesses forward. Since then, things have changed a lot, and I'm really delighted to welcome back Saverio Bianchi, founder and CEO of ATELIER AVENUE, the acceleration fund for beauty and fashion, who's going to address what businesses should focus on in this new normal in order to efficiently manage customer relationships and be resilient by driving e-commerce growth. Saverio has a passion for brands and is obsessed by customer experience, and these two things have led him to delivering over 40 projects for some of the most iconic brands in the world. Please do ask questions via the Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen, and Saverio will try to come to these at the end. Saverio, over to you. Thank you.
Hello, Sally. Thank you very much for having me. Great to see you, and welcome everyone who decided to join us for today's webinar. Excited to be here, and great to once again have another event with CW, as they're always exciting and always fun. It's a great crowd. So today's session will very much focus around what this new normal is in terms of digital, in terms of e-commerce, and how can we still grow our e-commerce businesses with special focus on beauty, obviously being this kind of event, but certain principles that you can see and apply throughout to many other direct-to-consumer businesses and brands. So without further ado, I will go ahead and share my screen. I will have a few slides to talk through together with you, and please add your questions in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. I will together with the precious help of the CW team, will make sure to address most of them within the time we have available. So let's get going. Let's get into it. Very brief intro about me. For who doesn't know me, I'm Saverio Bianchi. I founded the ATELIER AVENUE, which is as Sally introduced, an e-commerce acceleration firm operating internationally, working in beauty, luxury, and fashion mainly, and active internationally. I also like to share my thoughts on my blog, specifically about e-commerce and growth, and how to cut through the noise and through the BS that sometimes, unfortunately, we have to deal with in the vertical, and really focus on what matters, which is one of the things that I would like to discuss today. Here's just a taste for some of the brands. And ATELIER AVENUE, just to give a very brief introduction, what we do is accelerating brands, retailers, and we also work with venture capital firms. We operate internationally, and we help by becoming an extension of brands team to accelerate through e-commerce performance marketing, CRM, tech, data, and leadership. We're not an agency. We're completely independent. We're a consultancy firm, and completely 100% unbiased and independent, meaning we always keep the interests of our customers and our clients at heart. Now let's get into it. What we've seen in the last few months, what we've all experienced the last few months, is unprecedented, is definitely unexpected, and this is uncharted territory. We're all getting a bit more acclimatized now that a couple of months have passed since the start of this new way of doing things, of experiencing things with the work from remote and so on and so forth. But certainly there's still a lot to be learned and a lot to be adopted. To get a sense for it, kind of ironically, I think the word unprecedented, this is from Google Trends, how much the word unprecedented has been Googled over the last couple of years, and you can definitely see what's happened in the last couple of months. a few new behaviors have emerged. We have all seen and we've all been dealing with working and learning remotely. The use of Zoom and Google Classroom, as well as Microsoft Teams and the likes, have become a part of our daily routine. Not to obviously mention the Zoom fatigue, so to speak, which is real, and I hope we can make this as pleasant and engaging as possible. So I'm definitely looking forward to your questions later. But it's a fact, it's a reality. So there've been major adjustments on ad spend in the digital space. Some verticals like travel, obviously, having to cut their digital spend massively. We have an example of a headline for Expedia, and other businesses such like Amazon had to cut their ad spend due to the sheer size of the demand. So not being able to cope with so much demand. We've probably all experienced the delays in the delivery of Amazon as an incredible logistics machine. But they had to cut the advertising to be able to cope with that demand. So same result, very different starting points. We've seen massive fluctuations in terms of CPM, could pull meal, in terms of cost per impression, per 1,000 impressions on Facebook and on Instagram, with an incredible amount increase in the impressions available due to increased time spent on the platforms. Which varies depending on devices, we'll see later. But fundamentally, cost dropped significantly, also in virtue of the fact of having so many more ad spend decrease and so many more impressions at the same time. So both factors had an impact on the price per 1,000 impressions. We're craving personal connections. Hopefully we get to have more of those soon and get back to a more normal way of life, but we can see the incredible growth of use and adoption of apps like Google Duo, Nextdoor, and House Party to make the connection more real and more personal when in lockdown and when limited in our travels and so on. Desktop traffic saw a significant increase versus the apps. You can see here in the charts how Facebook.com, Netflix.com, and YouTube.com saw an incredible increase in traffic over the last couple of months. Of course, being at home and being able to making the desktop much more of a destination than mobile. Now, this doesn't mean, this means look at your desktop and iPad experience, make sure that it is still spot on, but obviously this doesn't mean that the mobile first approach is to pass in kind of a second priority. It's still very much the priority, but given the rise in this kind of desktop experience, you want to make sure that the desktop and iPad experience is well set up. E-commerce has been obviously booming. You can see here a tweet, a screen grab from Shopify's CTO. Shopify, you might know, one of the biggest e-commerce technology platforms for all brands. Likely most of you are on this kind of platform already. And the exciting, interesting thing that the Shopify CTO was mentioning was how the levels of traffic in March and April was building up to being and sustainingly stay at the level of Black Friday and Cyber Monday on the day, which is sensational. And of course, it's a testament to the solidity and scalability of the Shopify platform. But at the same time is very much a signal as to how much D2C brands, being Shopify one of the main D2C merchant platforms, a testament to how much D2C brands have seen an impact in the growth of business online. Looking at beauty commerce sales trends, I'm sure you're all aware, you've all seen the numbers and articles and mentions around how much health and beauty has seen a spike in online traffic, but not just, also sales. And here we have some stats around the 2020 versus 2019. The trend remains the same. It's still in that along those lines. And many beauty products have seen triple-digit growth in the last few months. Now, what this means is obviously it doesn't apply, as we all know, to every category. Some categories in beauty have felt the growth much more than others, and anything around personal care, skincare has definitely had that impact. A bit less on color, but in general, a way positive reaction and trend as compared to other verticals such as fashion, who's seen and is having a major hit. And this is a testament also to the big O2O migration, meaning the big offline to online migration. So this is a fact, it's real. Now, how are things going to change later on? I don't pretend to have a crystal ball, but at the same time is quite realistic to expect that a certain amount, a certain portion of those offline sales that have gone into online will likely remain online. All of them, absolutely not. As soon as stores will reopen and life will go back to normal, there will be I'm convinced that retail still maintains a material role to play, physical retail, but certainly this shift has brought a lot of customers that were buying only offline to buy online. So that's important to keep in mind, and now more than ever, keep your D2C e-commerce operations at the top of the priority of your brand and retail roadmap. We've seen very strong sales. Some of our clients have seen up to actually all of our clients have seen an increase in the conversion rate, not just of the traffic, but also the conversion rate. So the pie gets bigger and the conversion rate across the whole pie gets stronger, and up to 1.5 incremental conversion rate to the baseline that we're already experienced on your sales. In terms of beauty search trends, you can see how certain terminologies around the how to, obviously, in doing things at home has taken, has been increasing in trend, both on Google as well as in YouTube. So now more than ever, it's important to be able to have content that represents your brand and that helps consumers, is helpful for consumers in the way they browse and in the way they engage with your brand and your products, to be able to properly satisfy what they're looking for and create useful content and worth testing. It is definitely worth testing it on all different CRM touch points, emails, on websites and media and so on and so forth. We've seen examples of players like Adore Beauty, who's the #1 Australian luxury beauty retailer. Whilst on one side, they've seen their lipstick and lip gloss sales dropping 24%. They've seen their critical categories like moisturizers, hair treatments, and other self-care, personal care and self-care products and categories having a massive sale increase. And most importantly, they've seen an acquisition of 3 times the number of new customers that they were used to. This is again a testament, despite on the other side of the world, a testament of how much the migration from offline to online really is real, and it's like I said, realistic to expect that a good portion of these new customers by getting used to this new way of shopping, will stick to it, even when things go back to normal, so to speak. Focusing on self-care content and products, obviously that helps. What stood out in this period? Unfortunately, we've seen bad examples, and I'm just bringing one here, a cringe-worthy brand communication where with it is probably not even worth spending too much time talking about, and trying to push sales and not necessarily having the customer experience and the customer interest at heart. Putting pieces of communication like that out. But on the other hand, we've seen a lot of fantastic examples of brands and brand leaders speaking to their audiences with lots of empathy and really hitting the nail on the head as to how to deal with a crisis like this, being sensitive to the community and at the same time real in terms of brand and business. Businesses like Rent the Runway have made very reassuring communication. Fashion businesses like Aritza have had plenty of initiatives like a relief fund for their employees, and making sure that their customers would understand that doing business with a brand had a positive impact beyond the P&L of the business, but a direct impact on the people working within the business. Other brands having a really great tone of voice, being highly empathetic, and that's really something that may not have a positive impact on sales there and then, but certainly leaves a mark as to brand recollection over time. Some fantastic examples have been Patagonia and Levi's, their CEO having very considered tone of voice, establishing an emotional connection with their consumers, and setting the expectations as to what the customers should expect from in the following weeks and months with buying online and deal with the brand. Similar with Levi's, very brief, very self-aware, saying, Levi.com is always open, but we do understand shopping for jeans is probably the last thing on your mind right now, and grounded, real, maintaining a personal connection, really, really, really important. So what to do for your business, what to do for your brand online. It's absolutely clear that never as today a business really had the need of being a learning organization. And by learning organization, what I mean, what many others mean, is establishing a learning loop within the business where you can connect the data of the way your consumers engage with you, listen to them, and not just what they tell you openly and what they declare, the data that is declared, but also observe the data with a lot of care and attention and how they're responding to your activity and activations, and make sure that that loop is closed, making sure that any information and input that you're getting from your consumers is actually looped in to your executive team, to your leadership team, that everyone is on board and understands what those signals actually mean. And it's very important to change the way we're doing things to achieve that. So fundamentally, what I would like to focus on today, what I would really like you to take home as a result of this, is that there isn't a one single thing really that needs to be addressed to solve whatever kind of critical issue you have with your commerce business in this specific moment, but it's very much as it's always been, getting the fundamentals right is what is crucial, especially in a time where the margins get smaller, where costs need to be cut and brought back into a right level of shape. You want to focus on the fundamentals and sweat the fundamentals, meaning messaging, meaning your customer data and the triggers, and meaning your team and organization. All different aspects that we're going to break down now into very actionable takeaway points for you to go back and discuss with your team and assess which state you're in terms of what's the status of health of your business under that specific dimension. So sweating the assets, sweating the fundamentals. So if we're talking about messaging, first of all, like we said, we've seen in the examples, how attuned is your messaging to the current state of play? I'm sure you've played with your communication, with the tone of voice, from the subject lines of your emails to your landing pages and your homepage, and the paid media that you put out there. Customer centricity, what they really care at this moment, is really what we need to focus on in the way the message is portrayed. Is it grounded in empathy? That is so important, so fundamental, and possibly now more than ever we can empathize with our fellow humans and those people that just like us are consumers and buy products and with the struggles and the issues that they're dealing with nowadays, some more than others, unfortunately. What about your email frequency? Have you been increasing the email frequency to your database? How have those KPIs been shifting? People have more time to spend online, less commuting, and despite the Zoom fatigue, there is definitely the need and the desire for entertainment. And so there is attention, there is more attention available. So have you been increasing the frequency of your emails? Have people reacting well to the increase? Your consumers have been reacting well to the increase of those emails? How have those KPIs been going? If your unsubscribes have not been increasing, and if your fundamental open rates and click-through rates have been remaining in a healthy fashion, as soon as you see a flex, dial it down or retune the messaging and content and so on. Did you review all your triggered communications? You have for sure, like many of us, a bunch of triggered communications that go out every time you buy, you subscribe to an email, every time you buy a product, every abandoned basket, any triggered email. It's worth going back to them and making sure that there isn't any leftover, so to speak, from a few months back, from a pre-COVID time, to make there's no tone deaf messaging that simply got forgotten, which would be totally understandable, but easy to forget. Have you replanned your editorial promotional calendar? I'm sure you have. But be very, very mindful of the sustainability of promotion. So whilst your wholesale channel might be drying up because of retail being closed, you want to make sure and you want to get the most out of e-commerce, be very, very mindful of the sustainability of heavy promotion, because it's hard to go back. It takes a long time to build a consumer base, your own database of customers and users and consumers subscribed to your emails and so on. And it's very easy to reduce the value of such base by educating them to receiving heavy promotions on a recurrent basis. You want to maintain the quality of your database. And so I would suggest promotion is important. These days is acceptable more than ever, but don't exaggerate, and focus on segmenting. So look at your data and try to set different promotions, doing an RFM segmentation, for example, or recency, frequency, and monetary value of your customers, and focus your promotion also only on certain segments. How is your sampling strategy being changed? Obviously, with the offline to online, there's a lot, especially in beauty, that needs to be taken into consideration, and sampling is a gateway to product experience. And how have you changed that? That's an important point that requires a thorough examination and reassessment as to the opportunities that it has. And how are you, if at all, enabling your best customers to drive new customers for you? How did you set up any referral programs where your so-called friend gets friend, but not only your best customers are empowered to really get on and spread the word and help you get more customers? So fundamentally, when it comes down to messaging, focus on strengthening the emotional connection through the relevance. Now let's get a bit more into geek territory, looking at the customer data and the triggers of your e-commerce and digital communication. How much different is the behavior of your existing customers versus the new customers you've acquired recently? Starting to track customers by cohorts, by segments of acquisition. So by when they were acquired, like for example, during the COVID rally to e-commerce versus before, and the channels of acquisition is always crucial. Nowadays, even more. Think of these as vintages. Like think of them as like wine vintages to get an idea, if you're not used to it, to the cohorts, customer cohorts. Seeing how they behave versus the previous one would allow you to get further insight and again fine-tune the messaging, the promotion, the merchandising, and so on and so forth. All elements are connected, and this is very important to keep in mind. With such a big wave of traffic, are we really taking advantage of all the opportunities that your brand has in front of it? Are you maximizing your email subscription? Even if you're not seeing sales increases on your site, really taking advantage of any chance to acquire a new email subscription. Think of email subscriptions as each new email having a financial value. Out of all your email database, you can convert at every email a certain amount of sale that you send out, email blast, a certain amount of sales come out. So make sure you maximize every opportunity to get email subscriptions on your site, and use the smart triggers. Don't ask for an email as soon as I'm landing on the site. It's annoying. No one likes that. There are tools and widgets that you can easily integrate, very cost efficient, that you can use to acquire, to trigger a pop-up on the page and suggest to leave the email and engage with them. With a user, with a consumer there and then. After a few seconds, after they click the second time, those are the smart triggers that can and should be used. Do you have live chat on site? Is it also geared up, both in terms of tech and team behind it, to allow for collaboration and improve the conversion on the site? Again, plenty of tools that can help you do that in a cost-efficient way, and do it even from your phone. So there is no reason to leave that opportunity on the table. It's there, it's possible. Technology is there, and it's achievable. So you should try. And how many of the real-time triggers, if you have any on the websites, are they integrated with the data flow back into your database? This obviously might depend on the level of sophistication of your tech e-commerce ecosystem, but definitely is something to keep in mind, and that can provide further intelligence, further insight, and further intelligence, both from a tactical point of view as well as from a strategic point of view for the brand and for your executive team and leadership team. Your retargeting triggers on site for your paid media, are they performing better with so much more traffic coming to your site, and I'm sure more window shopping? How much of it is performing like before, or better than before, or worse than before? If it's not performing as well as before, you might want to rethink the triggers of retargeting, focusing on triggers that show higher purchase intent, and revise those campaigns with your performance marketing person in-house, or if you're using an agency, with your agency. Challenge everyone that is part of this equation. A lot of value is hidden in all these different pockets. All the lookalikes that you may or may not be using, lookalike email lists that you use to buy media against. So the email list that you have, are they based on your previously acquired customers, or are you segmenting the newly acquired ones versus the previous ones? Again, looking at existing versus new and different cohorts of acquisition can help you optimize also the money that you spend, and the pound, dollar, euros that you're spending on media buying. What about your CAC on LTV model, meaning cost of acquisition versus your lifetime value model? Are you keeping, do you have one? If not, I highly recommend that you build this model. And if you already have it, are you keeping a close eye on it? It might need a revision as things go by and as time goes by, due to the different kind of customers that you've been acquiring. And cost of acquisition in relation to your lifetime value is the ultimate acid test to tell you whether your business is sustainable, e-commerce business is sustainable or not. So monitor closely the evolution and reevaluate your pre-existing logics. Again, there's lots of pockets of opportunities throughout the business that you can play with and investigate and actually have an impact. Getting close to the end, from a team and organization point of view, A/B testing. I'm sure you heard about it a million times. So it's closed. That is very. You test something, you put it out, and you learn from it quickly, and you either stop something or scale what's working, or tweak something that still may have the opportunity to work. Across media, across CRM, across UX, user experience on the site, this is fundamental. This is always good advice, I believe. I always preach it. Cut the bureaucracy and the overthinking. Brand is paramount. Brand is fundamental. But excellence is not perfection. And what the signal that may come out of a customer response, out of a test, whether it's a banner, whether it's a short video media on paid media, or an email, and so on and so forth, that feedback is so precious and so valuable. And so stop wasting too much time rethinking and overthinking before getting a piece of creative out, because it's 95% there on brand, but not 100%. 95 is plenty good enough. Let your customers tell you whether it's strong or not, and then iterate those loops and rinse and repeat as many times as you can and keep it tight. That's makes for very healthy management of your e-commerce performance. And aside from having the data available, which is crucial, and it's part of the beauty of e-commerce and digital, is so much more data available as opposed to classic offline marketing and sales. But do you have the right skills and skill set in-house across your team to look at that data in the right way? I'm sure there is no doubt in my mind that you have plenty of available data in your business, and but you need to make sure that your team is up to the level to help you and empower you to look at it in the right way and drive, help you drive the business through that. And also in terms of value proposition, and strategy. How often do you revise your CRM and e-commerce value proposition and strategy? Yes, stores will reopen, but the proposition of your business online might change, might need to change due to the fact that you acquired a whole new type of customers, and due to the fact of that there are a whole new set of behaviors that are in fact existing, and they will in grand part remain. Are you following a growth framework? Now, I suppose not as many of you might be familiar with a growth framework. We can go into it in quickly and give you an idea what that means and why that is important, but that is absolutely crucial if you want to grow your business. So tightening the test and learn cycles is a crucial way for you to react fast and act proactively, push your business forward. We're almost to the end. I promise. The growth framework as a resilience engine is something that I very much believe in. The growth framework is another funnel. Is the usual funnel, is just split and cut in different levels of acquisition, activation, revenue, retention, and referral. Each one of these mean those activities that you see on the side broadly, just to bring it to life and to real activity and real work that's required. But the fundamental part is that you split the experience for your consumer in all those steps, and you focus on in each one of the steps on one KPI at a time. Think, plan, and define for each one of those steps of the funnel a fundamental KPI that you want to impact. And then for each one of them, define a roadmap of experimentation cycles, of A/B testing. Like, okay, we want to focus on this particular KPI on the acquisition side of things. And therefore, we want to make sure that our retargeting on media grows by X%. Great. Let's focus on your performance person will have to focus only on that for 1 week, 2 weeks, really heavily focused on moving the needle on that KPI, whilst each and every one of the other people in your team will focus on one KPI for each one of the steps. Being laser focused is always important. Nowadays, you're planning a series of cycles of testing to make an impact. Focus on impact, cut the politics, cut the nonsense and the bureaucracy, focus on impact, and then see the result, that it will be an accumulation and a compounding. We will see a compounding effect building up over time. So yes, it was unprecedented. Yes, it is unprecedented. Yes, it was unexpected, and we are in uncharted territory, but we have the possibility and the chance really to unlock it. Thank you. So one of the questions that we received is, by one of the attendees is, online has become more saturated. What is the most important thing to focus on? Well, like I was mentioning, there is no silver bullet. You can't think of, just like in any other type of business in e-commerce, you cannot think of it as having one single thing that is going to fix 80% of your opportunities and issues. It is a set of activities which all together contribute to creating value across the whole value chain of your e-commerce, across the way you operate internally, across the experience of your consumers, and therefore little incremental improvements by using the growth framework that we just talked about will move the needle. There is no doubt that will move the needle, but you need to keep those cycles of testing tight, short, super focused, and make sure that they actually close. Because a lot of businesses test, but they don't spend enough time in reviewing the actual response, the actual results. So how can you best use e-commerce to help build your branding community? Focus on the user experience, on the customer experience, and make sure that your brand is portrayed in a way that allows customers to be willing to share, to be willing to talk about you. Engage your best customers. Engage your top 20, 30 customers on a personal level, and surprise and delight them, not just with gifts, not just with promotions, but with time, with exposure to your business leaders. Those are things that leave a mark and really help grow your brand perception and the echo that your brand can have. Let me see another question. Please feel free to add a few more. How do you outline an e-commerce growth strategy? Well, an e-commerce growth strategy is a fundamental piece of homework. The way I like to think about it, you want to tackle it at the very beginning. Most people want to get going, start cracking, start doing things. Now, strategy is often abused as a term, abused as terminology and as a discipline, but it gives you your compass to be able, your North Star, your touchstone, if you will, to refer to in everything that you do. It doesn't need to be a big academic exercise, doesn't need to be a fluff piece. It needs to be something very actionable with a roadmap that has everyone aligned, from the CEO and founder all the way to the youngest, most junior intern, and keeps everyone on track and with the eye on the target. I have a last question here. So how can I optimize my conversions for premium product without discount or GWP incentives? Your conversion should very much, if being a premium product, your focus in terms of communication and promotion should be very much not focused on discounts correctly or GWPs, should be focused on experiences. Anything that, whether it's the experience of the content of on your website, what your brand stands for, what your founder and face of the brand stands for, and what access to special money can't buy experiences can bring it to the equation. Conversion tactics are very much going. Is when talking about conversion tactics, it's very much about going through those steps of that growth framework that we discussed just earlier again, because fundamentally it encompasses everything: getting the right type of audience to the website by optimizing your acquisition, getting your email subscription on your website optimized, making sure you don't leave value on the table, money on the table, so to speak, and making sure that you give customers opportunities to replenish, you give customers opportunities to tell each other, use referral. If you're a high-end premium product, I'm sure it's a high-quality product, you want to get your best customers to do that job for you. So engage them and get them to talk about it for you. We could talk for hours about it. So I hope that answers it. So I think we have. I think we have. We can wrap up. This was. Oh, sorry. I see one last question. It was saying, would you recommend a new brand launch during this time period? Why not? It depends what type of brand it is. It depends what type of audience you're going after. and if you're ready to invest time and effort in content and the portrayal of your brand online. Ultimately, the brand, especially in beauty, brand is the story that you're telling, and it's a fundamental starting point to get the attention of your customers. And depending on the category, it could actually now could be a material opportunity for quite some categories. So I think we can wrap up. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to CEW for hosting the webinar. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, reach out.